The sales robots have taken over, and they're decimating deals left and right, destroying them right in their tracks. On the AI for Sales podcast, our mission is to empower everyday sellers to embrace AI superpowers to build new bridges and crush quota. Dr. Joel Abon said it best in the AI for Sales book. In sales, time kills deals. In AI for Sales, AI kills time. Join our hosts as we learn from the C-suite of the world's fastest growing companies about how you can leverage AI today to transform your sales revenue engine while being the best version of you.
Welcome everyone to another AI for Sales podcast. Today I am with someone who's calling in from the Netherlands. He is the co-founder of a company called Sembly AI, and very, very cool organization. Artem Koren grew up and lived most of his life in New York City. He graduated from Columbia University with the degree in computer science and later attended the New York University Stern School of Business, where he earned his MBA. He's passionate about using AI to enrich humanity and create positive change. He combines his experience as a systems engineer, product manager, IT executive, management consultant, and entrepreneur to create innovative products, bring to life new ways that technology can help us reach our goals. Sembly AI, which he co-founded with Gil Maclef in 2019, is at the forefront of advancing natural language understanding, paving the way for some symbiotic partnership between humans and technology. This is going to be a really fun conversation. I'm excited to have you today, Artem. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Excited to be here. That intro, man, it makes it sound like that's so fancy, but the reality is a lot of dirty details.
A lot of hard work, just like me, till midnight last night working on some things, I'm sure. Late nights and a lot of trial and error to get to the point where we can continue. So I'd love to help our audience get to know you better, Artem, by asking the question about when you were younger, just so people can connect with you. What was your thing? What was your passion? Like, what do you think then led you to the point where you'd be interested in artificial intelligence in today's world?
I loved science fiction when I was young, and I read a lot of sci-fi books. I think that's, Isaac Asimov was, Arthur C. Clarke. I did the whole Foundation series, iRobot. iRobot was huge. That formed a lot of my initial thinking. And so it was always a dream to have some kind of AI in the world. And I think I always believed that it's a very natural progression. I always assumed we would get there. I never really doubted. And I was interested in getting more familiarized with AI even back in my undergrad days at Columbia Engineering. But I was very quickly disappointed at what was thought to be AI at the time. And so I put that on hold. And I came back to the world of artificial intelligence about 10 years later, a little bit less. And at that point, convolutional neural nets were starting to come up and show their power. And then another 10 years later or so, I co-founded Sembly AI. So it was born out of, I think, a love for sci-fi and something that I always thought on one hand was a dream, but on the other hand was something that we were destined to get to.
Yeah, well, it's certainly such a powerful piece of machinery these days. And I say it, meaning AI in general, because there's so many applications of it. If you were to go 30,000 feet view of AI in general, are there any big business problems or just world problems that you see AI being able to solve, given what you've seen so far in the world of AI?
My view is that one will be hard pressed to find a business problem that's not addressed in some part by AI. There's there's infinity applications of AI already today, and I think one thing that's not thought about enough is the fact that we're in the first baby steps of modern AI technology evolution. So we are, you can say, where the internet was in the very, very early 90s, like 92, 3, 4, where, if anyone remembers the Mosaic browser, and then Netscape was the big advent. And when Amazon was a book company, so we're at those stages, and the potential is phenomenal. Personally, obviously, I'm excited about the kind of benefits that AI can bring to the workplace with the product that we've developed. But I think tremendous implications for biotechnology, for AI-enabled research and AI-enabled advances in the space of material science and biological and genetic science. I think that we're in for a treat in the next decade.
Love it. So there were a lot of failures in the internet days. You named a few, and there were a lot of successes. I mean, if you would have invested $100 in Amazon, it'd be worth several $1,000s right now, or $1,000 would probably be worth hundreds of thousands. If you take the lessons learned from the internet days, what do you think could be applied as we head into this new age of AI? Of who wins, who loses in this marketplace?
And that's a great question. I think if I knew in absolute terms the answer to that, I probably would myself be just the richest guy out there. But I think there's a few principles we can think about. So in the early days, so really becoming good at engineering solutions that use AI. So you don't have to necessarily be an AI expert, but you have to apply AI the right way. And so when we look at what happened in the 90s, there was a mushrooming of .com companies. But not every company needs to be a .company, first of all. And just because you're .com doesn't mean that you're serving your users, and it doesn't mean that you're providing a compelling experience with your product. And I think that's a universal. That's something we can't get away from. And so just because you have AI doesn't mean you're done. I like to think of AI technology as a new kind of a material that you can build technology with. And so just, initially the new material was, let's say, object-oriented programming. Then the new material was internet connectivity, then mobile and mobility. So those were new materials that new applications were being built with. Today, we have this new material called AI. And it allows certain new interesting paradigms and applications within your technology. But ultimately, the technology has to step in to provide value in a way that a person would want to consume it. And the companies that get those pieces of their product equation right, I think, are going to succeed. And I think what you'll find is they may not necessarily be the companies that have like the biggest, the fastest AI, but they have something that works really, really well. I think, for example, you look at the success of ChatGPT. As a product, it's extremely simple. There's there's almost nothing there, right? But it's so laser focused to do this really basic thing very, very well that it took off. People just love to use it, and they get value from it, and this opens up this snowball effect that we've seen over the past year.
I love that perspective, because I think of the days in the .com era of eyeballs, and it was all about how many people see something. And I could see AI incorrectly deployed to solving for that, where it's eyeballs of the wrong people that you don't actually care about, because you could drive the wrong things and not focus on the outcomes and the customer behavior and that kind of thing. So same principles apply Totally different game, but very, very interesting dialogue. Talk to me about Sembly, because there's been some, I remember, what was it, Dragon or something like that early on when it was a 92% success rate. And if I would have had this conversation today, I would be very disappointed in the outcome that it was delivered. In today's world, it just amazes me when I use something like captions to capture a short form video, and I don't have to retype but 1 or 2 words in it. So obviously the ability to convert voice to text is there. The speed to which to do it is better. What happens? What's the value of Sembly.ai? Because once you capture the data, I'm assuming that you're doing some pretty important things with it.
Yeah. So you're absolutely right that today, what used to be a very difficult technical challenge, converting audio to text, and the accuracy was fairly limited, except in certain narrow contexts. Today, partly due to the advances in AI, this has become nearly a commodity problem where you can transform audio from a lot of different languages into text really, really well. Certainly, there's certain specialized contexts like medical, healthcare, some financial that still require a little bit of additional oomph to get it right. But broadly, the transcription challenge is, let's say, solved at a near human level. And so what we do at Sembly is, of course, so first of all, I guess I should just say a little bit about the product. It's an AI teammate that you invite to your meetings just like you would anyone from your team. So this could be, you can have Sembly synchronize with your calendar, or you can invite it specifically on a particular meeting. Or manually share a link to your meeting and Sembly will join, or even just upload a previously made recording. So Sembly will join your meeting. It will hang out with you on your meeting just like a person would. And after the meeting is done, what it will provide for you are meeting notes that are the best in the business. It will provide a full transcript of your conversation, including who said what. That's searchable, that's shareable, and all that fun stuff. It also will isolate the tasks that were described in the conversation. So these could be small activities, actual tasks, or even project ideas. It does a really, really great job of identifying what are the things that need to be done as a result of the conversation that you had. And those tasks can be streamed to your task management app, to your to-do list, whatever you use. So you can have an automatically populating to-do list, which is what I have on my phone. And then finally, we have a functionality called Sembly, which is an AI chatbot that you can talk to about your meeting. So you can ask Sembly a fact about the meeting, or you can even have it generate some content. So you can say, write me a thank you email based on this meeting that I had with my customer. Or you can say, okay, suggest the agenda for the next meeting for my team. And then you can punch that agenda into the next call's calendar. So the entire team can see the proposed agenda for the next meeting that Sembly created for you. The use cases there are really, really broad. So that's the founding value of Sembly. Within that, there's transcription that happens, of course, and we understand over 30 languages. But what's importantly, we understand mixed language meetings, which is very common today. So you can have a meeting in French and English, and Sembly will do a good job with that. Happens a lot on my teams, and we get more and more requests about that. And we're the only product that supports that kind of a mixed format. And then we can also support meetings where some people are in an office and others are on the online call. And let's say they're all having a meeting together. So we do a good job of supporting those kinds of conversations. And then, of course, the AI stuff happens, right? There's a lot of AI magic under the covers to be able to normalize the meeting text, identify where the important points are, extract important information, organize it, identify who the speakers are, identify the kind of meeting it is, and present it all in a nice way to the user, either directly through the Sembly interface or our mobile apps, or drop it into your CRM, right? So very common use cases, like right after the meeting, the notes from the conversation go automatically to the CRM.
Wow. So we covered a lot of ground there. If I apply this to a sales profession, and you look at Skip Miller training, I've been in several of his trainings over the years, and he says, is it better to help move an A player to an A plus, or a B to an A, or a C to a B, right? Move everybody up a grade. And it turns out if you can move the A to A plus, let's say you get a 10% increase on $1 million a year quota. That's $100,000 in gain to the business. Now, let's say you move a B to an A and they're doing $500,000 and you move them 10%, that's $50,000. So you get 200 or 100% return on investment if you focus on the A players. I raise that point because if I think about one of my value adds compared to a lot of people is I take very good notes, I listen intently, and then I follow up with an email, and I hold people accountable to the next steps. And just by replaying, Artem, here's what I heard you say. You need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We help you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And here's the business value. Ready? And that gets me a win 78% of the time. If I think of me as an A player and how do I get to an A plus, I think that still stays the same. I can still do what I do. Now, the quality probably goes up. My ability to do higher quantity goes up. And so instead of moving from $1 million to a 1.1, I suspect by using this kind of technology and AI and these kind of processes, you can move an A seller to $1.2 million. And there's even better gains than there ever have been. And you might even be able to move a B to an A and then the B to the A plus with this kind of technology. A lot of people are looking at the downsides of AI. How many jobs will it cost? Talk to me about what we just kind of talked about. Are you seeing the kind of increase in sales benefits, and what impact is that having on jobs?
Yeah, so certainly, sales, and I wouldn't kind of even narrow it just to sales. I would say there's 3 kind of major areas where our product gets used, which is internal meetings, so like technology teams, project teams. Then there's meetings that have some kind of external component. So this could be a sales meeting is naturally like that, but also a client touch base is a very typical use for a product, or really anything where there could be like a project or requirements or scoping meeting with a customer. So anything where a customer is involved, that's your second category. And the third category is town hall and kind of broad, dissemination of information. So informational meetings, including lectures and educational. In sales, so our product is, we have many sales teams that use the product. Where it helps, so first of all, it's especially in organizations where it's a team or many teams. This is our product is very, very useful because it provides that continuity. It helps to enable that continuity of conversation with the client. So all of the key points that were discussed are automatically entered into the CRM. Everyone who touches that customer can see what that last interaction was about and what were the customer's expectations from the next call. In fact, you can just ask Sembly, hey, based on this conversation, what's the next thing that the customer is expecting us to do? And it can help keep the ball rolling. So it helps to keep teams synchronized. It helps to keep on the details, and it helps to get that ball rolling. So there's a lot of value that it provides across the board for the team. As far as the impact on jobs, I'm in the camp where I don't see the scary wolf of loss of jobs as a result of AI. I think that it will improve productivity overall. And so I think it will enable teams to do more with their time and in a way that's better for the teams, meaning it will allow the teams to focus on the things that are really their expertise and that they should be working on, and leave the more minutia things and the more repetitive things to the AI to do for them. So there's a productivity improvement, but also there's now more things you can do. Imagine if you had a couple of extra hours a day. Does that mean that you're eating ice cream for 2 hours? No, right? Now you get to do more cool things for your business and for your customers that you didn't have time for before, rather than, filling out a paperwork or clicking around documents or something like that. So it will improve the quality of outcomes. And of course, in terms of, automation and there's extra productivity, like where do the other resources go? It will create an ecosystem that is specialized to AI. There's already new professions out there. Think about prompt engineers and AI digital artists, AI platform services and developers. So there's a new ecosystem that opens up that's created to service these AI capabilities that we've built out. So the way, if we look at the internet and other paradigm shifts of that nature, it's always been a transition, not a shakeout, let's say. What I will say is that the period of transition has elements of chaos, and it will make things difficult for some people some of the time as industry is adjusting to these new things that are coming online. Of course, but that's a given with any major phase shift in the way that we do technology and the way that we do business.
Do people need to prepare to hone their skills to be effective in this new AI-powered world? And it may be different in the chaos time than 10 years from now because it's just built into our daily routines. But if you're making the transition, what do you recommend people proactively do to be effective in this new use of AI types of tools like Sembly?
People should start to make friends with their future AI overlords. And I say that, of course, tongue in cheek, but only partly. If you imagine back in the day, let's say before internet was everywhere and internet enabled apps were everywhere, try explaining your grandma what Wikipedia is or anything like that, right? That was like a task, or even the mobile phone, right? Like teaching your parents to use the mobile phone. I remember when I transitioned my mom to WhatsApp, that was a major life decision for her. It's very, very similar with AI. We're going to need to become friends with this type of technology because you will be operating underhanded if you're not familiar. That's not a scary idea. That doesn't mean, oh my God, you need to take courses and get a new degree. Absolutely not. AI is absolutely everywhere. And I think anyone can start by using AI in a way that enables something fun that they like to do. So look at different AI image generators that are really cool and amazing, AI photo generators, AI music generators, AI document writers, copyright content. There's a lot of fun Gen AI stuff out there that once you start using it, you'll start to get a feel of what an AI output kind of feels like in your hands. And that's already a great first step. And that's kind of how you can start to make friends with this kind of technology. And then it will only progress from there because that will open your mind to what are the other possibilities of how AI can help you in your life, including things like ChatGPT and all the rest.
I love your perspective. A colleague who's nearing 80-ish the other day wrote a letter to his daughter, and I read it, and he asked me for critique. So instead of me, going deeply through 2-page document, copy, paste, put in ChatGPT and said, make this more empathetic and you phrased instead of I phrased. And it just completely rewrote the letter. And then you say, make it 1 page instead of 2. And just playing with the clay like that, it's as if you just hired a team of writers that are the best in the universe. And, and I think as this continues, it'll only get better and better and better. So very good insights. Last question, 5-10 years from now, you've talked about the chat feature within Sembly. You've talked about a lot of really neat capabilities that I've never heard of in tools like yours. The thing that I'm leaping ahead to is, okay, there'll probably be a point where you get a notification and a text, and then at what point, and you've got human in the loop that says, yes, go ahead and send this. Sembly listen to my conversation with the customer, and then it prompts me to say, hey, are you okay with me sending this PowerPoint with the proposal in it? I think that kind of closed loop system is one of the ways that will be very interesting. Do you see that happening? And what's next in the AI world 5-10 years from now?
That's absolutely happening. AI will continue to become more and more self-driven, and will require less and less hand-holding, and it will be exactly that. It will be, hey, Chad, that was a really great meeting we just had with, Tom, our new client. Here's the proposal I drafted. It's very similar to the proposal we drafted for Steve. Here are the key differences, point 1, 2, and 3. Would you like me to send this forward, or do you want to review it? It will be that natural. And as AI progresses, it will be more and more natural. I think one of the things that we'll see in the next 5 to 10 years is just how, quote unquote, human, I'm doing air quotes, it's out of the frame, but quote unquote, human AI interactions will become, with all of the fidgets and nuances and emotional kind of flexibilities of human interaction. I think AI will learn to incorporate that in the interaction with us to make us more comfortable and more effective at interacting with it. And I'll finish on this point that I like to bring up, which is that the last 100 years were the progress, the civilization progress of the last 100 years was driven and dominated by scientists and engineers. So you have this movie Oppenheimer out right now, right? It's a very good chronicle of the first half of that century. But Oppenheimer and similar were the people who drove progress in our society. And so we can, you look at Steve Jobs, you look at Bill Gates, right? It's the engineers and the scientists. We are in a precipice of a revolution like hasn't happened in over a century, where the next 100 years, I believe that the drivers of our societal progress will be those who can communicate most effectively with others, which is in a sense a completely opposite skill set to being an engineer or a mathematician or a scientist. These are going to be communicators. And the reason for that is how good of a thing you can accomplish will depend very much on how well you can explain it to the AI that's going to do it for you.
Wow. Well, it's funny because I'm taking an NLP class that's 18 months in length to become a master neuro-linguistic programming expert. And the very first lessons are that people care about themselves, right? You really have to understand what the other person wants and then align to that. And there's a whole lot of interesting knowledge there. So, wow, out of all my conversations, I must say this is the most interesting conversations that I've had yet. And I've had well over 150. So Artem Koren with Sembly AI, fabulous conversation. I'm so intrigued. I know our audience is going to love it. And I can't wait for this to go live very shortly. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Chad. I really enjoyed it.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining another AI for Sales podcast. We've got a bar that's set extremely high now. So send your friends that know Artem, and let's see if we can continue the dialogue. Peace, everybody.
Hey, you made it this far in your AI for Sales journey. Want to augment your sales growth? First, leave us a review and then visit www.scalex.ai to claim your free strategy session today.